everybody out there. I am your host. That's right. It's Jessica Koch, and we are back. This is Profound Professionals. It's the interview series that has been bringing you brilliant industry experts from all across our globe. We are not going to disappoint you today. We have two amazing guests. They can either help improve your personal life or grow your business. Today, we have the beautiful, glowing Pauline. She is just outstanding and already has been a hoot since we've gotten her on the show. She is an experiential marketing expert. Ooh and ah, everyone, because we need to know what that's all about. And Dave here is our health and well-being. You know, our well-being and our wellness, really important stuff here, and also has a lot of experience in the world of martial arts. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. This is going to be fun. I already know. So in the sense of gentlemen, ladies first, we're going to start with Pauline because I know Dave is an amazing gentleman. I can already get the vibes from him. And so, Pauline, tell us a bit about how this experiential marketing came to be. And I'm going to have some great questions for you on this, so I'm excited.
Well, let me start off, Jessica, by maybe explaining what is experiential marketing, since it's a word that's often thrown around in the world of marketing, but not always explained. So experiential marketing leverages events and experiences to create meaningful moments and interactions that engage customers in memorable and personal ways. So if you think about it, you've been at quite a few of these, whether it is at a trade show where you have a direct interaction with your target customer, or whether as a consumer you've walked into a fabulous pop-up shop. All of those are experiences where, as a recipient, you're experiencing the brand. And that's what experiential marketing is all about. As for how I got into it, well, it is a growing field. We actually just did a research that shows that year over year, for the past 3 years, marketers are spending more and more money in experiential marketing, a lot of times because the more traditional marketing just doesn't seem to reach their audiences anymore. And I was really attracted to this growing field that merged both my professional interest in marketing as well as my personal interest of theater. I've always been a theater geek, which obviously I get to enjoy quite a lot since our agency is based in New York. And essentially, experiential marketing is theater for brands, right? The brand is allowing you to live their story, just like an amazing playwright allows you to truly live what it's like to be those characters on stage.
Now, is all of the experiences that you work with for your clients, are they all in person or is any of it virtual?
Some of it is virtual. As you can imagine, we had to definitely take a strong pivot during COVID, and we have developed very strong skills to create an experience that's still worthwhile. And the way I often like to explain it is, if you are at a conference, you of course are going to have viewers that aren't going to be able to attend, but that still want to interact with the content. But you can't just like place a camera in the back and sort of hope for the best, right? Think of the difference of the experience between being at the Super Bowl and watching it on your TV at home. You get different content, you get different interviews, you maybe get a glimpse inside of the locker rooms. Like there's something that means that your experience is still worthwhile. And that work of thinking, how can I still get you to experience my brand in a worthwhile way, is the work that we do.
It's funny because I think it's really, actually, I think it's more traditional marketing than, I think you're blending a really traditional core idea with modern flair, right? Because I mean, some of the first experiential, the first thing I thought of, you're going to giggle, but when you go into the grocery store and they offer you a taste of their brand cheese or their whatever, that was the
Absolutely.
very first old. And then trade shows and those big conferences have been around for eons. That was, 20 plus years ago when I got into sales and marketing. How I got started speaking was at those kinds of conferences and meeting those kinds of vendors and things. So I think you're taking something that occurred and giving it a modern flair. And I know I've been at some of the events where I was live on the site and in the conference, but then we could go into an area and interact and talk with the people who were I've been in a couple of hybrid events like that where we could engage with the people in the Zoom room. So we were the live people and they were the people in the window boxes, but we got to communicate and actually talk. And so that was kind of a cool experience. So do you have a website you want to share, or a free gift you want to share, or a workshop that's coming
Sure.
up, or what's happening with you?
So, a few exciting things, of course, go on our website, gradientexperience.com. I think for anybody that's interested in our space, there are a lot of really interesting case studies so that, people that are growing their business or people who might be interested in the field we're growing, so always recruiting, can certainly learn more about what we do and how it impacts the businesses of our clients. But we are launching or publishing in just a few weeks a white paper that I'm very excited about, because you're right, it is traditional marketing in some ways, and yet because it leverages a lot of newer communication methods, especially social media, figuring out how to do it well is still not the strong suit of a lot of marketers. And there is so much value being left on the table that we created this white paper that establishes a framework for how to do experiential marketing in as impactful of a way as possible. And our framework is called Impact. And that's going to be downloadable very shortly. So definitely go on our website to download that and learn how to do it well.
And as long as Pauline sends it to us, we'll add it to the article and the description to the details of all the great places you'll find this video. So we do continue to update. So read the comments, check out the chat and things, and you'll find that we're updating that always. So we're going to get back to you with some tips and some other questions I have, Pauline, here soon. But we want to touch on some of the health and well-being brilliance of Dave. So Dave, tell us how you got into that, and maybe even a little of your martial art journey since you've been doing that so long. I can't even believe that many years. I was anti-type that number because I was pretty sure you had to just been born. My daughter is her godfather and her father are both in martial arts, and she was kicking me so hard while in the womb. One night, my husband woke me up and asked me to stop kicking him, and it was my stomach against his back, and she was kicking her. She's now also in travel soccer, so she probably could claim that she was working on both of those skill sets prior to birth. I would back her on that because they were quite violent kicks. She was taking somebody out.
When they say start early, but that's probably a little early than even
really
I would
early.
recommend, to be honest.
She started as early as possible. So tell us about you and your journey, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely, Jessica. Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute honor to. Yeah, I mean, the martial arts and the integrated martial arts method, which I created several years ago now. I mean, they're completely interlinked anyway. And the whole well-being aspect, because martial arts really not quite since its creation. When it first started around 648 BC, Pancration was kind of the first mixed martial arts ever, actually, more of a boxing, low kick and wrestling. But certainly from the kind of well-being, what we would kind of call more traditional well-being mindfulness aspect, it's certainly since at least the sort of samurai period in the 12th century, where they leaned on some of the Zen and the Buddhist monk Zen practices So
Mhm.
right from the beginning, there's always been that kind of mindfulness, well-being aspect within martial arts anyway. So if it
Mhm.
isn't broke, don't fix it. It's quite new for us over here, maybe the last sort of 20,
It
30 years, but certainly
it's
not in the
it's
discipline of the martial arts or in the East in general. So for myself, when I did start my first martial arts, I was about 15 actually, and very kind of you nevertheless. Um, and I've been done about 5 disciplines,
mm,
including jujitsu, which we touched upon as part of mixed martial arts, Korean martial art known as Tang Soo Do, more of a traditional martial art, kung fu, something called Lao Ga Kung Fu, a traditional
mm.
Chinese martial art. So all for martial arts will find it very interesting. For others, will think what on earth he's talking about. But they're all quite important differentials, particularly when it comes to the integration of the method.
Well,
And
I
I
have to
also,
pause you for a second because I found the history you were giving very fascinating and interesting because so my husband practices early in the morning. He does his chi process. And
Mhm.
we always tease. He says he has to do lots of chi because he has two girls who like to suck all take all his chi, and he's supposed to give it away to us anyway. So he's got to build up extra, some for him and some to give away. And then you mentioned that early starts were founded in wrestling, and he wrestled and through high school and college. That the hot hunky muscles, that was what drew me to him.
Yeah, strong
But
guys, the wrestlers they
yeah,
are.
strong, yeah. Oh, like yeah, very grounded. They in the dojo, they always say he's like rooted to the ground like an oak tree. Like nobody can knock him over, because he has that stability of balance and things. So I found your history of all of this very fascinating. And how do you tie it into how you serve your customers and the with the well-being piece?
Yeah, yeah. So that kind of was linked. A lot of these things seems to be sometimes during the COVID period. So as I said, I've done all these martial arts over
I
many
call it the
moons, and
time the earth shifted. I hate giving
yes, it just
energy
seems
to
like
the C. I feel like we're giving energy to the C word. If we don't say it,
yeah.
we don't give energy to it. So the world did make a shift. We do acknowledge that. And some of the shifts and things that came from it were positive. And I'm interrupting you again, Dave. Just love me anyway. And some of them were it was rough for us to watch and see happen. And hopefully we can do things and take steps to avoid that. But if we just say we went through a shift, I feel like, and I'm interrupting on purpose because I want to get that out into the world. Like the less we
Mm.
re-say the C word, the more we just talk about how the world shifted a few years ago. And then that leaves open for a lot of the positive that happen and funnel towards more positive, I think. Anyway, please
Well,
do go.
no, absolutely, and I think it's a fair phrase there, and certainly from my own perspective, in the end, that was part of the whole, the
Mm-hmm,
kind of lifestyle challenges and sort of coming out of the other
mm-hmm.
end in, I would certainly say, a pretty positive way.
Sure.
So while maybe not for all, but certainly for myself, I felt that was the case. So during that particular period, I
Mm-hmm,
was working from home more often, still
mm-hmm,
doing the martial arts at home, but not having the same benefits,
mm-hmm,
losing that social benefit,
mm-hmm,
not learning from others, not really enjoying it as much. So
mm-hmm,
I knew I had to do something about that. And I kind of started to integrate some of the different martial arts that I'd done, some of them quite long forgotten, really, in a bit of a haphazard way at the beginning. But it kind of did the first where I started to enjoy it. I
mm-hmm,
started to develop some of the arts to do that I could do outside. Started to meet
mm-hmm,
people from the local community. Started to share kind of
mm-hmm.
these kind of middle-aged men stories, some of the challenges we were having, and sharing some of the things I was doing, or what I would have seen as more positively. And the more I started to integrate different styles, I started to do more contemporary research around some of the middle-age changes, some of them
Mhm,
on the face of it quite negative, sort of a shrinking brain and more risk of heart attacks and strokes, these horrific things. But
mhm,
then also at the same time, looking at what we can do to you look at diabetes, it's just one quick example, to
mhm,
possibly prevent it, to in some cases even reverse it, and at the worst, to manage it better.
mhm, mhm,
And that kind of just started to snowball from there. And a lot of colleagues at work, 'cause I was a civil servant for about 20 years working in central government, and probably before I even noticed, a lot of people started to notice, well, what are these changes, what's going on, how comes you're dealing with these things so comfortably and you're quite happy. And at
Mhm.
first I didn't know. I thought, I don't know, who knows? Um, but after a while, I thought, what I'm doing here, how I'm feeling, that's kind of people are noticing that. Started
Mhm.
to share some exercise patterns with some fellow colleagues who were really stressed out, troubling, having 4 children at home, partner not working,
Mhm.
lots of pressures at work, getting, the vaccination out to the prisons, for example. You can imagine how
Mhm.
important that was. So the more I started to share what I was doing, people started to do the same thing, shared the first sort of basic WhatsApp video. And probably by about the eighth person, I thought, I think I might have something here.
Mhm.
And I
So
sort
are
of
you coaching mostly men in your
yes, it's
program? Okay.
exclusively middle-aged men.
Okay.
Um, Partly because I've been one for 15 years and recognized some of the challenges that I went through, which were just really
Sure.
relevant. And as I
Mhm.
said, that particularly some of them outdoor engagements, people
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, I've recovered from this operation, or I've now got diabetes. I've had a heart episode recently." My personal health journey, and I'm happy to share this, particularly with the men who
Sure.
may be listening, is I had testicular threat of testicular cancer during a
Mhm.
very traumatic sort of period. And I, of
Mhm.
course, like most men, thought I was on my own and the only person that had it.
Mhm.
Um, and it plays around your masculinity as well, and all sorts of
Mhm.
stuff was going on there. Yet
Mhm.
still, the more you talk about that, of course, it's quite a common thing, particularly
Mhm.
men around that middle age, prostate cancer and testicular. And again, in this case, it's a really simple thing. If you check it regular, if it's found
Mhm.
early enough, extremely high success rate, extremely low likelihood of it coming back. Huge amount of men don't know that.
So are you working with only men local to you? And where are you again? Share with us where you're located, Dave.
So I'm in a beautiful part of the country. I don't know if you might know. So in Hertfordshire. It's about 20 miles north of London.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
I do have face-to-face work with like local
Mhm.
men at the same original park I mentioned. And
Mhm.
that's like county-wide support. So that's, I don't know,
Sure.
the equivalent of maybe the American state, but a bit smaller.
Right.
But the rest of the work that I do, particularly for my total rejuvenation program, that is aimed at middle-aged men. The rejuvenation program is actually
Virtual.
aimed at the same leaders, directors that I initially supported right
And
back in the day.
and it's virtual. You're
Yes.
supporting them virtual. Are you doing it in groups or an online course? Or are you doing one-on-one coaching or a little of everything? How are you serving them with that?
Bit of a mix there. So it's
Okay.
basically, particularly with the TRM program, the Total Rejuvenation Mastery Program, that's one-on-one and that's
Mhm.
online. Now there is
Mhm.
actually, it's interesting you say about if there's groups, or because there is a group-based option, which
Mhm.
initially was quite ad hoc, quite voluntary. It wasn't necessarily part of the program, but you could join
Mhm.
that if you wanted to. It's actually become really, really popular
Yes, group
because even
is
though it's not
the way to go.
quite the
Yep.
same face to face,
Mhm.
like I've talked about, for more local clients, just that
Mhm.
same thing I spoke about, that sharing,
Mhm.
learning from each other, that kind of laddie type humor, whatever that exactly is. That sort of snowballed and almost took a bit of
Sure.
a life of its own. So that, yeah, so it's a mixture of one-to-one and group support.
Do you have a website or a workshop coming up or something special you wanna share from that end?
Yeah, so the best connection would be the website because you can kind of get
Mhm.
everything from there.
Sure.
So it's very simple. Dave Ferguson, Coach.com. You could
Okay.
follow all my social media from there.
Great.
There's a wealth of free resources on brain health, living with
Oh,
arthritis,
good.
diabetes, reducing blood pressure, dealing with cholesterol. If you want to go a little bit more in depth, as I spoke about the
Sure.
Rejuvenation Mastery Program, you could book a courtesy call through that. And
Yes,
I'm
that's
happy to offer 5 free brain screenings as part of that call
cool.
for
Lovely.
anyone who's actually watched this show. If they just mention Jessica or Profound
And
Professionals or something like that, I'm
this
happy to
is a
do that as
great
well.
segment for me to say. Many of you watching the show and following us for many years now know I am the Italian mother of 7, but I'm not your mama. And we're not giving you medical, legal, financial advice.
That's
Go
right.
see your doctor, go see a professional. Dave is sharing things that have worked with him, worked for his clients, his experiences, his knowledge, his research. But we want you to get medical and legal and even business help. So we love that you watch the show. We love that you learn from all of our experts, but know that you have to make the best choices for yourself and seek the experts near you, financially, legally, and medically, and otherwise. So, so thank you for that, Dave. I think that's wonderful. And all of Dave's contact information will also be in his article and we're going to come back. And I know Dave is going to be cooking up a really super wicked good tip for us. But Pauline, before we come to your tip, I want to know how, or if at all, is AI affecting your experiential, that's not easy to say, marketing exercises and events? And are you incorporating that in some way in what people are experiencing?
We absolutely are. So first of all, I think that most creative agencies today are incorporating AI in optimizing how they work. But I think especially in a field like ours, where visualizing for clients what this experience might look like is hugely important, because we can describe it, but until they see it, it just doesn't quite come to life. And what used to take us about a week for a renderer to bring a visual to life, it now takes us about 3 hours with AI tools, which is just a massive time save, which allows us then to focus on other parts of a program for our client. So that's the first thing. But then the AI within an experience is also leveraged, and that allows us to create a huge amount of personalization in experiences. So we just did a great pop-up for one of our clients, Maybelline, in New York. And when you were even waiting in the line outside, because these tend to create really long lines, we had an AI-powered digital game so that people could play against one another and play while they were waiting, with a chance to possibly, if they won, skip the whole line. So that was quite successful.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing like a little incentive.
Right.
And then within there, we use now a lot of tools. We actually have we have programmers internally in our team that allow us to create things like facial scans, so that all the content that is created within an experience gets immediately sent to the person that for whom the picture was taken. So now I don't have to wait 2 weeks and go on a website to find my photo. I immediately get the photo in my phone, and that obviously is going to significantly increase my chance of posting it on social media, feeling good about the brand, etc. So yes, AI has become an essential part of how we work.
Yeah, I love the personalization AI can give. So you can really build relationships with artificial tools. It's fascinating if you do it correctly, where you give them a personal feel and a personal experience. You can build. I was teaching a class on, you can create custom GPTs in some of the spaces that take them through an experience you design, and have them put a few pieces of information in, and then out comes this really personalized product, tool, resource, photo, like what you're saying, anything you can dream it to be, or that you're desiring to gift to that person, can be then very personalized, which I think is exciting. Even videos and other things can be produced in that manner with just a little bit of text and a little bit of detail. I mean, the programming is blow your mind. So I was going to ask that, are only your clients like the big shots of the world? I did a lot of work with the Fortune 1000 in my career, spoke at a lot of their annual conferences, worked with some of the larger organizations, myself including government, all across the United States. So are you working mostly in that space?
So a lot of our clients are on the bigger side. Like, we work for companies like L'Oreal Group, like Moet Hennessy, Beam Suntory. Those are big companies. But we've also worked with smaller firms, like startups, that really need to get their name out there, especially if there's a press launch or an influencer experience, if a company is choosing to already invest in the effort of doing that launch, of paying for those influencers. I'll give you a quick example, but for one of our clients, they had negotiated with influencers that they were paying that they would post 2 times, right? That was their contract. But if we can create an experience that incentivizes them, that excites them, that motivates them to want to post more, then all of that is additional free media. And the experience that we were able to create for a client was 7 to 8 times posted versus the 2 that was contracted. So then for some clients, it's going to be, a calculation, and we are super measurably focused. Like what we care about is the impact for our clients' return. So we'll have clients sometimes that, tell us, oh, we want to do this, fireworks, et cetera. And we're like, it's just not a good use of your funds. Like, let's focus on this or that. But when you think about how much they were spending for 2 posts for each of these influencers versus 7 times, like that's a massive shift in their media spend.
Well, and that's dollars they can see return on investment wise. So for the smaller firms, whether they're smaller or solopreneur, and they're trying to think about how they could work with you or how they could begin to leverage influencers with your support in an event kind of collaboration, what's a tip that you could give them?
Well, I think one of the first things that one of the first tips I would give is the power of integrating an experience that you're already doing with planned social content is key. And oftentimes we see, especially smaller brands, sort of hope for the best or think so highly of their own brand because they themselves are so excited by their company. They're so excited by their message that they just assume everybody else is going to be, that they forget to do the work of thinking, okay, what is the other actually going to care about? And what content do I want to see on social media? So if I'm speaking at a conference and I'm hoping that someone's going to speak about me, is going to take a photo of me and post it. When I'm actually standing on a stage, where is my logo? Is it cut off? Is it visible? Is it like, is my face like cutting off half of it? Like actually think about the content that can be captured from the experience, because that's what's going to be amplified afterwards. So my tip would be really think about the output and then work backwards.
Yeah. And my thing is, I see this, and this is my opinion, because I know a lot of marketing experts disagree with me, but I think they give themselves a wee too bit of a short marketing up to the event. I feel like there needs to be a save the date, here it comes, don't miss out. And now we're on live, because I don't know why they've been brainwashed to believe that, oh, you could pull off an event and fill a virtual event with several hundred people with 2 weeks lead time, just to go start posting. That is a bad plan, in my opinion. I don't like it.
I completely agree. And it's probably one of our biggest recommendation to our larger clients is, all that time you give yourself to plan an ad campaign, assume the same time frame for a really impactful experience and social campaign behind it. It doesn't take any less time.
Big events need, big events that we plan in our lives. If you're doing something big, whether it's a webinar or a conference or a summit or an in-person thing or some sort of amazing experiential marketing piece with Pauline and her team, you need 3, 6 months, even a year plan time, because then, and that's how long you plan a wedding. How long would you take to plan a family reunion, or a large event gets lots of lead time and planning and organizing and sharing and telling everyone and making sure everyone can put the space on their calendar, and all of that still applies. I don't understand why people don't think that. But thank you for that advice and for agreeing with me. I love guests who agree with me. You can disagree with me also. I'm all right with that. But hey, I'm going to roll with it. Dave has some amazing, amazing tips for us. I just feel it in my bones. I know it's there. What do you have for us as a tip for the men watching with their health and well-being, Dave?
Well, no pressure at all there. I just want to. I'm going to be. It's going to be a neurological theme anyway throughout tonight. And the first
Okay.
thing I would say is, if you're going to start with any supplements regarding brain health, start with
Mm,
a high quality omega-3 supplement with a
mm,
high DEA and HPA content, particularly for us older folks, and that
mm.
will just help the old noggin float a little smoother. I think there's a little bit more to that, but if you're going to start with one thing, that is absolutely what I would recommend. Um,
And
and I
check with
think,
your doctor, right, Dave? Check with your doctor
no,
before you take
absolutely, yeah,
anything. But that is a
yeah,
great tip. I love that. Mm,
absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I recommend for almost all my clients actually have a MOT first with their GP,
mhm,
and then we
mhm.
have a following full analysis afterwards.
Yes.
That's often the
Yes.
case. I mean, what does actually often happen with middle-aged men, they are often engaged with their GP, or they should be. It's usually
In layman's
one or the
terms
other.
out there, general practitioner, your medical doctor, I think GP is what he is referring to, right, Dave?
Absolutely, yeah, it is, of course. Yeah,
I have
probably
to
do that,
decode all
obviously,
of
but
your
maybe not everyone else would. And I think also, I just want to add on top of that, sometimes we
Sure.
have to prepare for reality as
Mhm,
well. And this is
mhm.
probably only applies to a percentage of the men that I work with, but it's probably linked to personality types.
Mm,
Is they go in all guns blazing, they're absolutely raring to go and want to
yeah,
get everything done immediately. And you try and just level things out a little bit. It's
yeah,
not always easy. And then when you get that initial, they'll see it as failure. They go into a bit of a spiral,
yep.
and again, kind of the brain analysis was quite helpful with that, because I could, at
Mhm,
first I didn't know how to stop that, because I thought it was brilliant. They want to start, they're ready to go, they think you're the greatest ever, let's go. And it lasts about 10 minutes. So
mhm.
sometimes you have to prepare for failure in the right way, and that's quite a harsh term, but in the right way, and it prepares you
Yeah.
for a longer term up and down success. We don't mind a bit of up and down, but as long as it's heading in the right direction.
I think of the best thing that's helped me with that over the years as I have seasoned, I'm 51 and fabulous, is taking really small increments and changes and paying attention to changes I can link and anchor to what I'm already doing. So, for example, I'm sitting at the desk today, but normally this is a standing desk, and I've done that for many, many years. And then I added a treadmill because I'm standing here anyway. So I have a walking pad beneath my desk. So many days, not today, but many days, I walk 4 to 6 hours in any given day when I'm engaging with my computer or my team or the work that I'm doing. So just finding things that I was already doing and anchoring it to that. And I even have, and look, I can true story. So, like when your computer is spinning, again, talk to your doctor about what you can do or you cannot do. But I don't know about you, but occasionally my computer just does this for fun, the little spin wheel. So, or I'm loading a program, so I'll do my weights on my arms, or because I'm already here, I'm already standing. I might as well do a little of this with some weight too, and I have my 5 million gallons of water nearby. Just like trying to go with the habits of the who you are already, and then what can little
Absolutely.
thing can you add that won't feel like I'm all of a sudden an Olympic athlete. I'm up at 4 a.m. I'm doing 8 hours of training with 3 different coaches, because
Absolutely.
that feels like that feels like something I could maintain for
Yeah,
about a moment of thinking about it, and that's it.
yeah, so we call it like integration within our lives in the lifestyle. So it's
Mhm.
funny you say it, because I've got a pretty similar story of a client who did it when his coffee was percolating. Now, I
Yes,
wouldn't necessarily recommend coffee for the first in the morning, but he pretty much was, that was
sure.
his thing. And while it was percolating, he did a short cardio burst, and
There
he
you go.
never ever forgot, because he was
Mm.
going to have that coffee every single morning. So that was, in the sense of certainly getting into a routine, absolute piece of cake. So yeah, without trying to change the whole world, you know.
And me, on the other hand, if you turn the lights on first thing in the morning before I've had my what you might think unhealthy cup of Joe, I might break your arm. Just saying. Don't turn the lights on. I'm not ready yet. So doing a cardio burst, never gonna happen. Not before the coffee.
I want to share what my husband's done, since we are talking about middle-aged men. His thing was adding, every time he brushes his teeth, right? So twice a day. Every time he brushes his teeth, he does 20 push-ups. And that's not
Ah,
much. It's not huge, right? Any guy can do it, but he does it every
Well,
day.
yeah. And if you catch him doing it, think how steamy that makes him look. No woman can
and,
resist a man doing push-ups. Woo!
and consistency is the key. Many men can't do 20. I absolutely assure you that. And consistency is the key, because you could do 3 hours of intense workout and then you don't do anything for a couple
Well,
of
if they're
weeks, and
both
it's
trying to
it's
head out
completely
for work
pointless.
in the morning, they're going to be consistently late every day. At least that would happen in my house. Because seeing my husband doing push-ups the first thing in the morning, he wouldn't be making it out on time. So, I think it's a great suggestion, but you have to make sure it fits in everyone's lifestyle.
Absolutely. Lifestyle
I think it may
integration.
work for me. I might have to suggest it to my husband. And just warn his clients he may be running late the next forever. So now we are going to go to one of my other favorite parts of the show, and you out there watching have been waiting for this. Get ready, start typing, put in the comments your favorite cause. We'd love to take a moment. Here we are learning about the beautiful Pauline and the fabulous Dave. And we want to have this not just be all about us, right? We have a chance here, an opportunity, a window of opportunity to encourage someone to give time, treasure, or talent to a cause that you put in the comments, to a cause Pauline or Dave shares, or just help them remember, oh, yeah, I have this cause I love, and get back into giving or sharing time with them. If we get to inspire someone to do something good just because we take this moment, or just because you hit the share button and someone gets to see this segment, how wonderful is that, right? To inspire good in our planet. So, Pauline, share with us a cause that you care about.
Sure. So, linked again to our company, Gradient. Obviously, our industry is known for its single-use mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a pop-up shop. It's there for only a bit. It's a single-day event. So
Mm-hmm.
it can have amazing business impact, but pretty sad ecological impact. And what we decided to do back in 2018 was make sure that moving forward, every year we would be carbon neutral. And it's something that we're very proud of, and something that I really think companies out there can do without it being too much of a change, right? Back to what Dave was saying, it's something that can fit within how we do business without it being a huge ordeal. So first thing we did, of course, is just try to change our internal processes to reduce the carbon impact. So we did internal analysis with our teams. Hey guys, what can we do? How can we reduce? So that's the first thing we did. And then we worked with a company to calculate how much of a carbon footprint we were still having. And we offset all of that impact by supporting deforestation prevention in our planet's lungs in the Amazon, so that we could have carbon neutrality. And I know we had a few clients who were like, but carbon, this deforestation prevention, like, is that really a big thing? So here's the thing. Deforestation has greater pollution impact than the entire global transportation sector. And
Wow.
so if we can prevent deforestation, then that gives us at least the counterbalance to the transportation sector. And plenty of people are doing great things to try to have that impact, but let's buy ourselves some time to find this magic bullet that people are researching by at least giving our planet the oxygen it needs in the meantime.
So I would, if you're not already, I'm going to put you on the spot and hopefully inspire you to do something. I think having a checklist to help other companies figure out how to approach the same thing, like, you know, the different steps you took to do that and the different things you looked at and things you were consulted to look at. And then maybe even just a 1-pager or 2 paragraphs about the deforestation just from an educational piece. And that could be even something they could grab off of your website as a free resource. You know, they put their name and their email in and they're able to pull that. And then you know what prospects and community members and clients of yours who are really motivated and interested in that, and then have even deeper conversations about it, right? Because you'll be generating a list of those people to know, oh, these people have our same mindset at heart. But that would be a great resource even just for them to have, so they know where to start, because I think a lot of companies wouldn't know.
Yep, that's a really great idea. Well, I'll make sure that we work on that. Thanks, Jessica.
She didn't know she was going to get homework, everybody.
I love it. I love it.
All right, Dave, what's the cause that you care about?
I mean, there are many, but for me, and it's linked to a lot of research that I was doing when I started to develop the method, and it's a Movember, and it's a global charity, focuses solely on men's health, and it's done a lot of recent research and some really good reports recently. They don't make great reading, cool. Which I suppose didn't expect anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I'm a bit of a researcher, a bit analytical, bit evidence-based. So I love the work that they're doing. They're really cognizant of obviously some of the suicide rates, the lack of sort of health screenings, the coming down, you know, I think in America as well, we're down to like 78.6 now for men, and 76.2, I think, in America, something like that, which is shocking for, you know, such advanced nations.
That's
and
not
they're sort
okay.
of looking into really some deep. It really isn't. It's amazing.
I'm going to be 160
to go backwards.
I'm going to be 160, and my husband's going to be 180 because he's 11 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want to hear. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's our main charity. I have a really local sort of localized charity as well, localized hospice charity as well that I support.
I love that. I love that. Thank you very much for that, Dave. So put in the comments, get ready. Here we go. We're rolling into our book segment. I know you have a favorite book out there. Type into the chat the book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business. And if you're an author, you know what's next. Throw the book that you've written. And when you and others hit that share button, guess what? We're going to get to share the world with your book. So you may be writing something or have written something. Put it in the comments. And a bunch of people share it, and just never know what might happen. So make sure you're filling up the comments and telling us all about the things you like and you. In the meantime, we're going to grab the information from Pauline and Dave about books that inspired their personal life or helped grow their business. So Pauline, what do you have for us?
I think probably one of the most impactful book on our business has been Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. I truly think that it's a must read for any professional, but certainly any business that requires a lot of interpersonal communication. And our business is hugely dependent on strong collaboration. And that we've implemented a lot of her tools and techniques, and it has helped us manage each other and manage our teams significantly better. And in all honesty, it also helped me manage my own family better because it's just all about clear, kind communication. So that would be my recommendation.
I love that. I love that. And I love improving in that area for myself as well. So I don't talk about me very much, but we also own a sales and marketing consulting firm. We do a lot of social media training and the podcast host for 8 years now. And then we have we have a virtual assistant membership program. So we have about 100 VAs globally that help our clients all over the world. And so communication is something I have become, and even cross-cultural global communication, I've had to become a bit of an expert in over the last, I guess, 9 years now of running our firm. So, and communication was my expertise prior, and I keynote spoke, and like I said, I've represented and traveled nationally for other companies and made them quite a few millions before I decided it's time to make them for myself. So, yeah, I love that suggestion. All right, Dave, you're up. You're on the spot. What book inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business?
Yeah, a bit of both, but it's mainly the business, I would say, because I had a couple of clients that I was struggling with a little bit around nutrition in this case. And this particular book just answered virtually all them questions. So it's Change Your Brain, Change Your Life from Daniel G. Amen. And it's a series as well. I think that was actually the first initial publication.
Pauline
Yeah,
likes
that was a
it so much.
fascinating
She's
book
been
for me.
taking notes on your talk. I've seen her. I'm watching her. She's like, oh, Dave said something good. I need to write that down.
Well, it's lovely just to share the knowledge, isn't it? And I've learned loads already from both of you in this short space of time already.
Well, I don't know how you feel about him as a martial artist, but I know my husband's also read a lot from Bruce Lee, his biography and a lot of his, he has a lot of books. I did not realize because I was going to purchase one. Yeah, I was going to purchase one for him for Father's Day, and this Father's Day, and so many came up. I said, okay, spoiler alert, you're getting a book for Father's Day. Come help me pick it out because there's too many to choose from. He said, well, I've read that one and that one. Oh, let's do this one. I was like, oh, good. I'm glad I asked you because I didn't know, all the things. So, he's that very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. I love that. And Pauline, I'm gonna throw something kind of especially for your startups. A book for you. I wonder if I have it near me. I don't, but I don't. I'm working out of it too much right now. There is a gentleman, I believe his first name is Noah. I don't remember the author's name, but he is also the CEO and founder of AppSumo. And it's this really wonderful website that helps small businesses and tech companies and small startup companies and things like this get access to really good software and technology at most of the time lifetime access prices, right? You buy it once and you own it forever, including the updates and things and such, so that you're not stuck into a monthly pay, because that gets really expensive for a company. Yes. Really expensive, like so expensive that if they could get rid of all of those, Pauline, we could all afford you. So it's really, really expensive. And I'm just kidding. And I have no idea what Pauline's prices are. She's very reasonable. It's well worth it. I didn't mean it in that way. I just meant we could afford to do way better things with our money if we didn't have to pay monthly, right? We could get our health together if we're a business professional like Dave, and work with Dave, and the men of the world who are leading businesses and companies and teams. But anyway, what I found interesting about him is he wrote a book called The Billionaire Weekend, I think, and his first name is Noah for sure, and he's the founder of AppSumo. And one of the companies that he brought to him when he was first starting this is now Zapier. And everyone knows, anyone and most people, I should say, a lot of people, be careful with how you say things, especially when you're live on I was in Sand Television, but close enough. We'll be streaming on Apple TV and Roku very soon. So keep an eye out for all of our shows there as well. But, truthfully, it was just a concept. It was an idea. And then what happens is the company gets bigger and better, these software companies, and they go out and they have a monthly fee like everyone else, right? And so it's a great collaboration. But the reason I wanted to share this book with you, Pauline, for your followers is because, and for all your business professionals too, Dave, is because he does very much complimentary thing as you, Pauline, where he's taking the old school, what really worked, and the tried and true and traditional of marketing, and he puts this great new spin on it, and makes you think, well, that was easy. I could do that. I can. Well, and then he does things in his own, like in the spirit of your white paper that we're going to talk about a little bit more in a second. He then tests them live, and then just runs and does it, and then he talks about it in this book and his whole story and his journey. And it's a short, fast read, and it's really interesting, and it's a great Christmas gift for some of your, especially your startup customer kind of clients, and up and coming leaders, and your other companies, like the larger companies you're working with, some of those up and coming leaders, because you want those leaders internally of a large corporation. I think they often forget this because they're a Fortune 1000 or whatever. They think, oh, we're above all this entrepreneur stuff, but they need to have an independent entrepreneur mind within the corporation in order for the corporation to be its most successful, in my opinion. If every employee believed they owned the company, your company will always be number one. And encouraging leadership, especially up and coming leadership in these Fortune 1000s, to read things like this that is very entrepreneur spirited, and figuring out how to apply that where they are, is a really fascinating activity and technique in developing marketing skills, in my opinion. So,
so
there's that.
Awesome. I noted it too.
Yay, I did something good. Who knew? Pauline, we are going to talk about the white paper that you have coming up, and then we're going to give a teaser alert on some things that Dave is cooking in the world of writing. So tell us a bit more about that white paper, and we'll be able to find it on your website once it's released, right?
Absolutely. So yes, this white paper is really meant to create a simple framework for marketers to improve the impact of their experiential marketing. So if you're already planning on investing in this growing field, we just want to make sure that it is going to be as impactful as possible. And impact is an acronym. You'll have all of the information there, but it's integrated, it's measurable, it's plenty of things that are key for it to be successful. So it will be released late September on our company's website, and also on my LinkedIn. And we'll certainly share it with you so you can share it with your listeners and viewers as well.
Beautiful. We love that. And Dave, you've given some thought to putting some of your brilliance and your process down on paper. Is that something we should see in the next year or two, or how long?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I something that I've just started to take a little bit more serious, because I haven't necessarily been one of them people that always said I've got a book in me or I'm going to write a book. I've never really necessarily thought that, if I'm honest with you. But certainly a couple of stages when I was when I was researching and putting these different theories and evidence bases together. And you touched on earlier on in Pauline's space about using the traditional martial arts, in my case, from thousands of years ago, and some of the contemporary analysis today around positive psychology and new strength kind of techniques and ideas. And I just thought it seemed that was a natural way to progress. This is a great medium, of course, to share your message. I network a bit more now, which I didn't before. Probably not the most comfortable thing in the world. But to me, I felt I have to now put this in paper and share that message in another platform. So I actually started to write my first chapter and an outline about a couple of months ago, for the first time. I haven't really got it in mind exactly what route I'd go down, whether that be self-publishing or otherwise. But yeah, certainly something I'm thinking about now, and I'd expect to be really digging deep into that next year.
Well, that's lovely. That's lovely. Make sure just a few tidbits of advice. I'm not an expert on it. But I have several great contacts in that space, and making sure you're touching base with an attorney on a few specific things, especially on how to notate your research, especially if you're using bits of AI for research and for inspiration, making sure you're tracking all of that correctly, because you can use it, but you do want to document how you're using it and how much you've changed it. So just holding a Google file for that, and having having a conversation with an attorney for copyright, intellectual property, maybe you have a friend or something, and I'm going to give you another. I'm an Italian girl, and this Italian girl, I'm not going to speak for all of you out there, Italian girls, but this one gives unsolicited advice all the time. So you talked about networking and virtual networking. I'm part of an amazing group, and I'm friends with Steve, the head of the organization. They're called Go Connections, and the reason I suggest this one is they're global and they're virtual. However, a lot of, and I've done some, they've had me in as a speaker, and I've done some talks for them. A lot of them are based in UK, Scotland, Ireland, Australia. You have a lot. There's us, United States. We infiltrate everywhere where we show up. The US is present. But you have I like it because it's such a global feel. It's a really truly global feel. There's a lot of great business professionals from all over the world, and it's run by a couple of really amazing men I'd be happy to introduce you to them.
Absolutely, sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so I think you'd fit in really well there. I think you'd enjoy the other business owners there. So it has been so lovely to have both of you here today, and I've really enjoyed interviewing you, and I hope you've enjoyed the process with us.
Absolutely. It's been lovely.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I love it. So if you're watching and you're thinking, well, wait, I'm an industry expert, I could improve someone's life or help them grow their business, then maybe you'd love to be featured on our show. If that's the case, then you should reach out to our team and we'll let you know just how to do it. They're pretty fantastic in that regard. So before we say goodbye and let our amazing guests go, we're going to grab from them. As always, I won't let you down out there. We're going to get one final piece of information or inspiration, inspire us as we close our show for the day. Pauline, what do you have for us?
My advice would be, whether it's professionally in teams that you collaborate with, at home, or family in the middle of a political conversation, just assume that everyone is doing the best they can with the information they have. Just starting from that positive place of curiosity regarding why they are thinking the way they are thinking shifts your perspective on any shortfalls, on any actions that they may have had. So it allows you to shape a solution instead of focusing on placing blame. So assume everyone is coming from a positive place.
Very, very good advice. And funny enough, I was 28 when I met my hunky husband, and still learning about relationships and maturing. And he gave me, as 11 years older than me, some very great similar advice in our marriage. I remember having my feelings hurt by something he had said. And he said to me, in our life ahead, I am going to occasionally say some really stupid stuff. He said, you're just going to be guaranteed to, if you always assume the best of me and knowing that I love you and that I'm on your team, then and look at it from the best possible light versus any other way, then we're going to do fine. And I have always done that since. And that was some of the best advice he gave me to help him along as I'm not going to say men, but sometimes our partners of either side say something less than brilliant, and and our feelings can be hurt, or we could remember that they're our biggest fan, our raving fan. So I love that you shared that advice, Pauline. How about you, Dave? I don't know. She's a tough act to follow.
That was quite tough, actually, I must admit. And then you sort of super on top as well. I was like, oh my gosh. For me, again, it's going to have a neurological link. We are blessed and honored to have the most complex organ in the universe within us, and you can change it for the better from today.
I love that. I love that. And that reminds me, I should probably also introduce you to my friend Bruce Barnes. He's been on the show many times. He just loves being on the show, and we keep having him back. Over the last 8 years, we've had him, I think, 3 times. And again, we're not giving you medical or legal advice, but he almost lost his life several times and was in a coma even, and could hear everyone, and pulled himself
Sounds familiar.
and healed himself with his mind and pulled him. And that's what he truly believes. And that was his experience. And I'm not telling you out there anything. Believe what you like to believe. Check it out. Talk to him. Meet him yourself. Watch his show. But the mind is truly an amazing, amazing thing. And I think that's a great inspirational way to leave us. So until our next show, everyone out there, I'm your host, Jessica Koch. This has been Profound Professionals. And until next time, be kind to yourself out there and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.
See ya.